Okie dokie. So the first thing to think about is where did I put my photos, right? Make sure that you have your photos in a folder on either your desktop or in another subfolder of some kind in your on your computer, right? That's the plan. Put it where you want to be able to access it for the duration of this project all the way through. If you're going to move it later, you're going to run into trouble because uh, Lightroom references folders, right? And if the folders aren't there, then they can't find the photos and you get error messages. Okay, so once your folder is where you want it, you are going to open Lightroom and then you're going to import photos. Go find your, ta-da, go find your files and import them. Okay, I went and dug up a bunch of the pictures that I had that might work for this kind of an assignment. You should have shot something here in Tokyo that you can use for this. You want something that has a corner coming towards you so that you have a 2-point perspective, much like the city corner that you were drawing earlier. These kinds of things will work fine. This is kind of boring to have this sky in the way, but it's a thing. Could happen. This is another one that's kind of interesting. It is a corner. This is interesting because it's also going to go down in space, so it has some more complexity to it. This one could be interesting. I'm going to mark this one as a 3 because I like it. I don't know, some of these are going to be a little more complicated. That's not too bad. We could look at that one. That one's also got an angle and some things going on. This has a couple of angles. I don't know if the train's in the way or not. Who knows? Depends if you what you want to draw. Simpler townscape to work with. And then anything that's again, the building has its corner towards you, you can create the 2-point perspective with. Just decide how complicated you want that to be. Not that complicated. Oh, I have some castles I thought might work because they had some cool things. I still think it's going to be really tough to do something from a view from above. So I would highly recommend maybe not being from above. Have something where your horizon line is where you're standing for eye level, and that puts your points coming down and points going up to that midpoint. That will make life easier. Oh, Shinjuku. This would be another kind of thing. Again, interior, exterior, there's a couple different angles going on. You can see the corner that's coming toward me there in the post. Oh, let's try that one. See what happens. All right, so anything with an angle. Oh, I shot these the other day too, thinking that maybe the dual levels would be interesting. Let's try that. Okay, so I have hit filter number 3 on pick my rated things, my first 2 and then these ones. Now let's take a look at editing. Remember that you can create a virtual copy for any photo. That gives you a couple of options. You can keep the original and then you can work on the other one. To do anything, you need to be in develop mode. And then I might suggest, to make your life a little easier, you can work with some of the black and white modes over here. If you just kind of scroll through these, one of these might give you the information that you're looking for. It might make some of the lines a little bit easier to see, a little more clarity. That's not bad. And you can, I'm going to pick the high contrast to start with, then you can go over here and, for example, I can open up those shadows so I get even more information to deal with. I can make my highlights a little bit brighter. Right? I can move my white point is pretty much white over there. If I need to make the blacks a little bit blacker, I can. You can see where I might want to have that opened up a little bit. Now, what I need in a photo for a photo reference is not necessarily what I need for a photo to print, right? Let me do this again, another virtual copy. I'm going to take that back to where we were. and maybe punch even. So the difference between this image that's a little softer and this image that's a little brighter, right, depends on what you need to be able to see. You might decide that uh, that this kind of photo is more of the feeling of the moment, but it would be really hard to draw all of those lines, right? So again, the thoughts that you would have around why would I choose a particular editing technique or result is based on what can I see, how can I see it, and is it going to help me draw this? Clarity is another thing that you certainly don't want fuzzy, right? So clarity is another one that may give you some more information. I'm going to leave those blacks more open. Okay. The other thing to think about too is like this photograph, you can see how this is tilty a little bit. If you go to the crop and the angle, you may, whoops, whoa, not that. My suggestion would be to find, for example, check your verticals. Make sure your verticals are vertical as much as you. It will be at the center where your verticals will be more vertical, right? Um, in my case, maybe this center line, and I want some of those. Yeah. So if I look at that grid, and I have these lines vertical, this levels off a little bit more. These will help me in this drawing. So those are things to think about. These have some nice big planes, actually. This could be pretty interesting. Let's try this one. Landscape. Ooh, the punch again seems to be working for me. And I still need to open those shadows up so I can see what I'm doing. I'll bring the highlight, bring the clouds in so I can see them. And I'm gonna bring those whites, maybe a squidge. Okay, and again, check the grid. This is just about vertical where it needs to be. All right, that looks pretty good. It might just be 1 degree. It might be a half a degree. It's not always much. So I'm going to take this one and this one and this one and export. Okay, in order to use these, you need to export them. I can put them in a subfolder. I could put them back in the same folder I got them from. You could also rename these. All right, so you could put your name, perspective, reference, whatever. And if you custom name sequence is like my favorite thing to do, because then it does like all the same name on all of them, but then adds a 1, 2, and a 3, or however many. This is how I get all of the 100 gajillion boys varsity soccer pictures, all to have say boys varsity soccer. Then you can quit out of Lightroom and go to the next video where we will open the images in preview and add lines to determine your vanishing point.